Hello friends, welcome to Knowledge India once again. In this video, we are going to talk about AWS Landing Zone. This is basically a solution from AWS which can help a customer set up their accounts properly when they are getting started on AWS. As you might see on the picture which is there on the right side, whenever you get started on AWS, it would not be just enough that you go ahead and create one AWS account. You will have to create multiple AWS accounts, and there are different accounts which have got different purposes. Now, in this video, we'll try to talk about landing zone in detail and understand that how can you get benefited? How do you go ahead and make use of this concept for your organization? These are few points which we will talk about in this video. And when you watch this video completely, you will have a thorough understanding that how should you go ahead and approach this work of setting up AWS accounts for your organization. Because though everybody just says it is very easy to get started on cloud, but it is easy to get started when you know a lot of stuff, right? And as you already understand that in case of AWS, an account is the logical boundary for permissions, you can say, right? Because the identity and access management, IAM, its scope is within one AWS account. So wherever you want to create segregation, you end up going for different accounts. So we'll try and understand that how many accounts you should create, why are people talking about AWS landing zone, what happens in terms of security, in terms of your enterprise, what options do you have? Can you go ahead and do it on your own, or do you need to involve someone? So we'll understand about that as well. And then what all customization is possible. Okay, so let us go ahead and talk about it in detail. If you simply Google AWS Landing Zone, you will come onto this particular page. Now in this page, it is explained what landing zone is, and it is a pretty good place to get started. Landing Zone is a solution that helps customers more quickly set up a secure multi-account AWS environment based on AWS best practices. Now, whenever you have read about different AWS services, for each and every individual service, it is told that you should use this service in this manner, you should use the other service in some other manner. Now, somebody can learn all of this from his or her experience, and then person can go and actually implement all of that based on his or her experience. But what AWS has done is they have kind of bundled this whole thing, all those best practices for you, and they are giving it to you as one solution, right? So setting up a multi-account environment can take significant amount of time, involve the configuration of multiple accounts and services, and require a deep understanding of AWS services. So that's what I was saying. So if you understand all of those services, if you are aware of how to set up guard duty, you are aware how to do CloudTrail, you know how to do single sign-on, you can also go ahead and do it everything manually. That is possible. But as things are evolving, more and more number of services are there to deal with, and hence it becomes sometimes quite complex for a person to go ahead and do everything from scratch. And that's where such AWS solutions help us, right? So it can save our time, etc., and we can go ahead and do things in a pretty standard way, or we can say you can get a baseline which AWS is giving you, right? In terms of either network design, logging standards, security settings, all of those things. So now the next question is, great, this sounds good. So can I just go ahead and implement it with a push of a button? The answer is no, with a particular caveat. I'll explain you that. So if you see here on this particular screen, you can scroll down as well, but you will not see an option where you can directly implement this solution. In many of the AWS solutions, you can go ahead and look at other AWS solutions. So what happens for many of the AWS solutions, you will get an option to go ahead and directly uh, grab the CloudFormation template, and you can go ahead and implement it. But in this case, if you go ahead and click on this request more information, you will land onto a page where you will be asked to fill your information, and then probably someone from AWS side or one of their partner guys would reach out to you and explain that how much does it cost to set up landing zone. So yeah, AWS actually recommends that now that in order to set up your landing zone, you can work with you can work with any of the partners, Amazon partners, and they can come and understand your requirements and set up the landing zone. So then you might think, then how is it a solution? I mean, if I have to interact with someone and get and tell each and everything, tell each and every detail and then get it done, it is unnecessarily going to cost me, isn't it? If you are going to engage with a partner organization, you are going to pay them. There will be consulting charges, there will be implementation charges. This channel teaches you AWS and Azure in really easy and practical manner. There are a lot of demonstration videos already on the channel. As you can see, a lot of professionals got benefited from our videos and you can read about them here. So if you are new, please go ahead and subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon. So what's the way forward? So what AWS has done is they also brought the service called Control Tower, right? I'll be covering Control Tower in a separate video in detail. So you can go ahead and use Control Tower yourself. You just create a new AWS account, go ahead and use Control Tower. Within few clicks, you will have your landing zone set up. But with this, the amount of customization which you can do, that is somewhat limited, right? Because you get a UI where you specify a few options and then it just goes and creates things for you. You would not be able to give all your customized details or all your customized requirements there and get things created accordingly. Whereas when you work with a partner organization, you can actually list down all your requirements. Let's say you have very custom requirements in terms of security or some custom requirements in terms of network. How do you want your VPCs to be designed, etc. So they will collect all those requirements from you, and what they'll do, they will further they will go ahead and accommodate they'll go ahead and accommodate these requirements onto the existing template or code which they have, and then they will implement it for you, right? The amount of customization which you can do via Control Tower is somewhat limited. So that is on the implementation part. So you can either do it on your own or you can involve a partner. Now let's understand a bit that um, within this landing zone, what all do you do? The landing zone deploys an AWS account vending machine product for provisioning and automatically configuring new accounts. So account vending machine product is a term which is used in the service catalog, right? So AWS service catalog, there we publish things and we call it product. So account vending machine is nothing but a set of code, code which includes Lambda and Cloud Formation. It gives you a simple UI. You give few details, and then it can go ahead and create a new AWS account for you. Now, if you have watched my organizations video, you would understand that how can you go ahead and easily create a new AWS account. I've shown it to you there in the organizations video, that within from your organizations, how can you go ahead and create a new AWS account. Because if you go and check within organizations, you have a create account command or a create account action available. So you can do that and you can easily create a new AWS account. If you go ahead and create a new AWS account outside, completely independent, then it involves a lot more steps. But as part of organization, you can do it quite fast. Now, with this account vending machine, what do they mean? They also give you a simple UI where a person whom you have authorized, he or she can go ahead and specify the necessary details. Let's say the email address, because that's of course required, a unique email address, organization unit, some of those type of parameters. Let's say whether you want to enable that IAM user should be able to access billing or not, right? So those things you can specify. I can actually show you that. Organizations create account. Here, if you scroll down, you will see create account is the command or action. Email, which is the unique email address. Account name, you will give some name. Role name, this will create an IM role within that new account, uh, which will give admin type of permissions to the master account. So whatever you want to name it, it is optional. If you leave it, it will just create with the default role name. IM user access to billing. If you allow this thing, if you scroll down, you will see IM user access to billing. It can have allow or deny. The default value is deny. If you allow this, you are basically saying IM users can access billing details, or basically billing dashboard. If you don't allow this, IM users cannot, basically, right? So that's the thing. So this is what is used by this account vending machine to help you give more and more accounts. But uh, I think if you have watched one of our earlier videos, I've talked about this thing, that a single AWS account would not suffice, right? In a big organization, or even for a smaller organization, I would say nowadays, as we are going to the cloud, our understanding is getting refined, I would say. So having a multi-account structure is very, very important. So here you can see that at minimum, AWS says that you should have this account, which is your master account. Now it is also being called as organization account, as you can see on the right hand side. So master account or organization account is the same thing. This is the account, this is at the root, and from here you do the payment as well. This is your payer account as well. Currently, within an AWS organization, only one master pair account is possible. Uh, you cannot have multiple master pair accounts at this point. Okay. So within an organization, you can see this is your first account, and then there is a shared services account. Shared services account you will keep, because typically this is like your central account, or the hubs. In the hub spoke model, you can think about the hub. So in the shared services account, you will set up all your necessary tooling. So whatever tools you wanna set up, you have something related to backup, monitoring, or anything like that. So any common tooling which would be shared by multiple business units, you can go ahead and put that in the shared services account. You then have a log archive account. Log archive account is kept separate because ideally you would want that nobody should have uh, write or modify or delete type of rights on the logs. So typically what we do is we set up a separate AWS account, which is only for containing the logs, and we direct all the logs from different AWS accounts from different services, whether it is CloudTrail, GuardDuty, VPC flow logs, ELB logs, or any other types of logs which you may think of. Send it all to one AWS account in your organization. So that's the purpose of having this log archive account. We then have a security account as well. This account is there because any security related tooling, you would go ahead and put it here. So for example, GuardDuty. Now GuardDuty is a service where you can delegate a particular AWS account as the master. You can do that for GuardDuty. Unfortunately, for CloudTrail, they have not done it that way. I would love to see that feature. Though they brought this organization feature in CloudTrail, but they did not bring the option of making a particular account as the master for CloudTrail. See, it's like this. Let's say in your organization there is a particular information security team or a security team. So there will be guys in that team who are quite competent, I would say, to deal with all the security products. So it would be great that those guys get access to the security account, and they can go ahead and do all the setup of different security related services. Now with GuardDuty supporting the organization and this delegation feature coming in, I can delegate a person in the security account to act to go ahead and act as the admin, and he can do everything for the GuardDuty. But if I want to allow that person to also take care of CloudTrail, it would mean that I need to give him or her the access to my master account, which I would not want to do. Ideally, in master account, very limited people should have access, very limited, because you are not going to create any resources as such there. It should only be used to probably create new AWS accounts, or whenever you have to apply things like SCP, etc. Only at that time you should be using it. All right, so that was a quick um, explanation of the multiple accounts. We already discussed about the about the account vending machine, right? So in the account vending machine, as I told you, it gives you an option. It will be published as a service catalog product. You give few inputs and then a new AWS account gets created. In addition to that, it also sets up as part of landing zone. The user access setup is also done, and that is done using SSO. So, like at least a SSO is set up, and it uses its own store credentials. It doesn't use an external store credential like, let's say, Azure Active Directory by default. It uses the store credential which SSO has inbuilt. But if you want, you can later on go ahead and change that thing, right? So that also gets set up, and in addition to that, a lot of notifications get set up. So what are some of those common notifications, or I would say important notifications, which you would like to have? If you read here, things like send a notification on root account login. Whenever root account, see, this is again a thing. It should be root user login. Okay, root user login. Whenever root user logs in, that is something which you would want to log, and you would also want to alert to a team probably, because ideally root user should not be logging in, right? Unless until there is a really important need, and if that happens, you need to record it as an audit item for that matter. Console sign in failures, if like people are trying to sign in again and again, it is failing, all such things. So there are many such items against which notification is set up by default. In addition to that, see, not only this, as part of this landing zone setup, a lot of additional security measures get implemented. Let me show you some of those. Here is an article. If you actually look at this, here are some of the things, right? The default account baseline consists of following resources and services. For example, CloudTrail gets set, config service gets enabled. Some of the, not all, but some of the important config rules are enabled. Guard duty is set up. Um, IAM roles and policies. AWS Landing Zone sets up security admin and read-only roles and policies for your staff with different job functions. Now, to a certain limit it can do, but can it really fulfill all the requirements of your organization? Answer is no, because every organization has got different teams and what permissions are required for everyone. So you will have to go ahead and do some customization later on, but to a certain extent, an initial setup it can go ahead and do, which can save a lot of time for you, right? IAM password policy in your accounts, right? So it can go ahead and enforce that so that people are not setting up some simple passwords. So those are some of the things. In addition to that, VPC infrastructure, and there is customization possible here as well. In order to show you that, I actually try to search that. So yes, we have one option that we can do it via control tower, but the amount of customization which you can do there is less. So I will be doing a separate video on control tower, but I try to search a bit on this one. So I got this very good thread in the forums, which talks about this thing that earlier the AWS was actually exposing the complete template, but now they are not doing that. So you can see there used to be these URLs, and some of these URLs are still active. So I've actually opened this, and you can see there are different PDF files here: 2019, 2018, to again another one 2019. This is the latest one of May 2020. If you actually go to this particular document and you scroll down a bit, you will be able to see this thing, Amazon S3 template URL. If you actually click on this, you'll be able to download the file. I downloaded it, and looking at this, it says version 2.4.0. If you go ahead and look at this, it's a 5,000-6,000 line file. Okay, but it is just CloudFormation. So if you understand CloudFormation, you will not have any difficulty in understanding this. So the reason why I'm showing you this particular thing is, you may go ahead and take a route that you involve a partner, call them, explain them this is what you want, and then they go ahead and charge you a big amount to set up your landing zone. Or if you have a couple of guys in your team, in your organization, why not spend some time, look at this template, try it a couple of times if you want, and go ahead and set it up on your own. AWS has given this template. You can go ahead and go through it and try to customize it based on your requirements. Okay, so that's what landing zone is all about. It is nothing. It's nothing like you will get landing zone as one click option from the console. Yes, there is control tower through which you can set it up, which I said we'll be covering in a separate video. But landing zone is overall that concept which talks about you being able to go ahead and set up required number of accounts, the correct security baseline for your organization. That's what the landing zone helps you to do. Now, the way you want to implement is up to you. I hope that gave you an idea about the landing zone. And if you are gonna get started on AWS, I would highly recommend that you understand this concept and try and set up your AWS accounts properly for your organization. Many of the organizations just go ahead and in a hurry set up some number of accounts without properly understanding that how many accounts they should create, and they just go ahead and get into problems later on. So remember this part. At minimum, you require the master account, log archive account, security account for sure. For all the central tooling or the services which will be shared, for that a shared services account. So these four are required at any given point of time. In addition to that, you can create accounts for your business units as per your requirement. You can have maybe uh, two accounts per business unit, a prod and a non-prod, or you may have even more, things like sandbox, testing, or accounts for every environment as you want. So you can go ahead and create a number of accounts according to that. I hope you understood something from this video. If it helped you, please don't stop here. Go and watch more videos on our channel and share this with some of your friends. Take care, guys. Thank you. Bye bye.